yesterday, I believe, Secretary Clinton gave an interview, and she stated that because the U.S. government did not help moderate Syrian opposition, ISIS became much more powerful and spread. What would be your response
Well,
to that?
I would note a few points. The first is that the U.S. has increased the scope and scale of our assistance to the moderate Syrian opposition, including announcements made last year and a request the President made of Congress this year to fund and authorize a train and equip program for the moderate Syrian opposition. That's something we think is important, and we've continued to increase our efforts in that area. Also, the Assad regime played a key role in ISIL's rise. They allowed for a security situation where ISIL could grow in strength. The Syrian regime fostered the growth of terrorist networks. They facilitated the flow of al-Qaeda foreign fighters. During the Iraq conflict specifically, the regime certainly has been aware and encouraged violent extremist transit through Syria to enter Iraq. So the regime has had a long history of helping these kind of terrorists foment unrest in Iraq. So that's not something new or certainly, unfortunately, confined to this conflict.
So just today, again, the former State Department Syria official Fredhoff wrote paper, and he was saying basically your $500 million aid to the moderate rebels would arrive as early as 2015, which is, he says, quote, about nothing. That means nothing.
He's entitled to his opinion. We think that we have provided assistance to the moderate opposition in an increasing scope and scale. Again, that's why we announced a train and equip mission just several months ago, and want that to get there as soon as possible. It does require congressional action, though, and we've seen how willing Congress has been willing to act on a whole host of things, but certainly we think they should act quickly on this.
Are you disappointed in what former Secretary Clinton said?
Am I disappointed?
Are you disappointed that she was actually quite critical of your foreign policy?
I think Secretary Clinton served in this administration for a very long time and worked on very tough issues with many people in this building. And look, she will be the first to say there are no easy answers. Right. Okay. She's looked at these issues closer than many people, and I'm sure we'll be hearing more from her in the coming days, weeks, months. And so obviously we'll have those conversations when she does.
But she made an assertion that basically your policy is ad hoc. I mean, you don't have a strategy.
Well, I don't think she used those terms.
I mean, she didn't use those words.
Right.
But
those weren't her words, though.
Okay.
And she played a key role in our strategy when she was at the State Department. So she was deeply engaged in these issues from this building when she was Secretary of State. She, more than anyone, knows how complicated and complex they are, and that there are no easy answers.
But wasn't a decisive role, is it?
I'm sorry?
She played a role, but wasn't a decisive.
She played, I would say Secretary Clinton played a very formidable role in our foreign policy, yes.
And don't you think that these recent remarks of her is a very serious allegation about your administration policy for the last 3 years?
It's all of I mean, she's been a key part of that policy, to be clear. And look, it's healthy and good to have discussions and debates about such important issues. We certainly believe that here internally, inside the administration. That would absolutely apply to these comments as well. So look, no one has all the knowledge on this or all the analysis on this, and that's why it's important to have this conversation. We believe that our policy we're pursuing is one intended to increase our assistance, to increase support to the moderate opposition, even giving a very challenging operating environment. So again, this is an ongoing conversation we have certainly inside the administration today.
Is there a statement related to the upcoming presidential elections, do you think?
I think you can ask former Secretary Clinton's staff what her intentions are.
Well, she said the Obama administration's foreign policy doctrine was, quote, great nations need organizing principles, and don't do stupid stuff is not an organizing principle. What do you have to say to that?
I don't think I have much more analysis to do on that. Look, I think we've made a few principles clear since the president came into office and Secretary Clinton was here, whether it was rebuilding alliances, whether it was investing in international multilateral organizations. So when you look at a conflict like Ukraine or Iran, we have coalitions behind us, backing us up, building international coalitions to fight shared threats. I think you've seen us do that across the board, but also not hesitate to act unilaterally when we believe our national security interests are challenged. So there's a number of principles, I think, that underpin our foreign policy and national security since we've been here. We believe very strongly in them, and again, don't have much more analysis to do than that, I think.
Are there any regular communications between the current Secretary of State and the former Secretary of State?
I know they speak. I can check and see how regular it is, but I know that Secretary Kerry very much valued Secretary Clinton's advice and counsel, not only when he's been here, but before, when he was still in the Senate. I don't have much more than that.